Good morning, everyone. It's a great pleasure to have you here with us today. Like I was sharing earlier on, this is the first time that I've personally spoken to a crowd this big, so thank you so much for each and every one of you for being here. I know there's a lot of great sessions, and it's an honor that you picked to be part of this, so we really hope that you get a lot of good value out of this. My name is Josue, and I am the VP of Data and AI Architecture at a consulting company called Zeb. I'm also part of the Databricks MVP program, part of the Databricks Product Advisory Board, and I'm also an advisor to Sigma, which is a BI tool company. So with me, I have the one and only Youssef. He came all the way from France. So Youssef, can you introduce yourself, please?
Hi. As Josue said, I'm Youssef. I'm based in Paris, and I'm a solution architect at Databricks, and I've been here for like almost 4 years.
Yeah, and like I said, Youssef works out of France, does a lot of great content, how to do things, interviews, behind the scenes on products, so very good stuff. I do some of it, but I really love his content. It's really top-notch. So quick overview about what we're going to cover. Databricks has the AI BI family of features, okay? I don't know if that's the official term that Databricks uses, but that's what I use. There's AI BI dashboards and AI BI Genie, okay? So dashboards, very self-explanatory. Genie, chat-like experience with your data, all within inside of Databricks without any additional subscriptions, okay? The way I'm going to do this is, well, I'm just going to jump into it. So I'm going to start off with a story about, I guess I'll make this a little bit more interactive. How many of you have used dashboards for more than a year? Okay, awesome. So my personal experience with dashboards was that they're just not that good, okay? Like I said, I have a big mouth, so about a year and a half ago, I wrote a constructive but very strong criticism about where Databricks was with dashboards. I probably did that 2 times, okay? Got the opportunity to interact with Chao from the product team, who listened to a lot of that feedback in private too, as well as took a lot of the feedback that I had given in public. But at one point, I think it was before DICE, or Databricks Summit. I don't know. Do people say DICE or DICE?
DICE.
DICE, okay, man. About a month before DICE, I reached out to a lead GOTC, and I said, hey, I know you have dashboards, but is this even a priority for Databricks? I was very honest with him. I told him, because I don't see it there. It's not as robust compared to other competitors. That's the way I saw it back then. And his reply to me was, because I was basically like, hey, are you even going to just discontinue dashboards or something like that? And his reply to me was, if we have any product, we want to be the very best that we can be with that product. So if we offer something, we want to be good with that, okay? So a lot of investments came towards dashboards and then Genie, when Genie was announced, right? And I personally have seen a great improvement from where dashboards is today compared to where it was 1 year ago. There's still trade-offs between third-party tools and dashboards, but I personally found myself, even before my work in consulting, as a customer actually using dashboards, even when I had other great third-party tools available. There's different tools for the right problems, right? So where things are today with dashboards, where it is today, you can build something like this. Okay. Full disclosure, I did not build this. A wonderful person from my team built it. I would not put a pie chart. For those that know me, I would never use a pie chart, but my wonderful person from my team did do a great job with that, so I'm very thankful for that. you can build things that customers might actually use. Again, I myself as a customer have been using it. You have a lot of great features, parameterization, visualizations, lots of great stuff, more variety. But even the most important thing here is that, yes, you can export things into Excel. That's what we all care about at the end of the day. So all roads lead to Excel. So you're going to show that, quick second, lots of stuff. I know you can read. And I believe we're going to make this available, right?
Yes.
So don't worry about taking notes and whatnot. So that's where dashboards is at today. So then, if this clicker works, there we go. I'm going to go over some best practices around dashboards. Again, kudos to my team that I want to give credit to them behind the scenes. They helped me put together, so it's not just my voice talking on this subject, but others that deal with this day-to-day as well. So a lot of these best practices, full disclosure, they're not just applicable to AI BI dashboards. It can be useful for other tools too, but the truth is, if you know how to use SQL and you've ever put together a dashboard, you can probably start using AI BI dashboards. Okay, so he's gonna talk the groundbreaking stuff. So some quick best practices. Again, we're going to make this available, so you don't have to worry about writing it all down. Document Databricks data sets. I'm going to relabel it a little bit right now on the fly and say build as much upstream as possible. Just like with any other BI tool, the more you can build upstream, the better things flow, right? You don't want your business logic to live inside your dashboard whenever you can. That's not always the case. Sometimes you do have to do it. We all have those say, hey, quick, I just need a quick dashboard request at 2 a.m. at night. So do as much upstream as possible and use the full value of the Unity catalog, things such as the metadata, like the comments and all this. Leverage that. Work upstream. Second, use the AI BI assistant for quickly building charts. Now, full disclosure, again, I'm not a Databricks employee. Sometimes it doesn't always get it perfectly right the first time, but half the time it does save me time by just building charts real quickly. I even have a video that I did once upon a time. There were only cuts to save time, but there were no cuts for like anything went bad or anything like that. And I built a quick dashboard in like 5 to 10 minutes that I thought looked decent at least for 10 minutes. So, to your question, I think you asked earlier, like performance, right? In a nutshell, the best way that I would encourage for making performance fast is keeping things simple. And not because AI BI dashboards is AI BI dashboards or anything like that. This applies to every single tool out there. And the truth is, the more complex your dashboards are, the less likely they're going to be used. That's just a fact of life. I once had a VP of finance when I was a senior financial analyst tell me, and he was like a super serious guy, so he told me, if you can't do the chart on a whiteboard, don't put it on a report for me, please. Because then it was going to be too complex to explain, too complex to try to understand. So the flip side to that is value to your end users, and also just overall makes the performance a little bit better. So, and I'll have a little bit more talking on this a little bit later too. The other one is, and this was a great suggestion by my team, by one of my team members, Ranjit. It says, use parameterization whenever you can as you're importing data sets inside of dashboards. That way too, if you're shifting code from development to production and whatnot, from hitting production tables, development tables and whatnot, makes your life a lot easier. It's good best practice. Who here is familiar with the system tables inside of Databricks? Okay. I personally love the system tables. Lots of great use in there. And I feel that this is one of the areas that Databricks has consistently gotten better and better over time at offering. So lots of good stuff. Shao, correct me if I'm wrong. What are, in a nutshell, what are some of the, sorry, it's totally impromptu. What are some of the 3 most useful pieces of information customers can get from like the system tables and connected to dashboards? Not to put you on the spot, but yeah. Yeah, say cost stuff, who's accessing your dashboards, all this, you can get this information inside the system tables. Last but not least, again, perhaps a little elementary, but I'll still say it is, display sometimes basic information inside of your dashboard. Who's responsible when the dashboard breaks? Who is responsible when a problem is occurring? Who's responsible downstream when, who has to deal with an issue if something happens that you notice? The more you can, that is good information to build into your dashboard, so just overall increase adoption of your the dashboards that you build. Now, let's see if okay. In a nutshell, this is a nice little diagram on the life cycle for building an AI BI dashboard that you can follow. Again, all the slides will be available. But with that said, what if?
And I think now I'm going to wake you up a bit.
Hey, excuse me.
No hard feelings. So I know Josue built like a dozen of dashboards. That's great. But what if like all those dashboards does not answer the questions I'm looking for? So that's problematic because, I don't know, you're looking for your the product that you sold in this specific day. I don't know, it's hard. So then you need to reach out to a data analyst. I have the solution for you. I guess? Come on.
Excel?
It's not 8 a.m. Yeah, that's right. That's Genie. And this is really the way that you can just chat with your data. It's like talking with the data analyst. But you have your tables. Say, I don't know, what's the best, who's the best account executive I have in my company? Who's the top selling product? And you have like those responses immediately. We're no longer required to have a data analyst sitting next to you trying to write those SQL queries for you. You're now autonomous. And this is all thanks to AI BI Genie. And how does it work behind the scene? So basically, Youssef will ask a question. Then we have a compound AI system, which is like a bunch of agents that will go and try to get the context from your question. And then based on this question, I will try to find like the instructions. We will talk about this a little bit later. And then I will search for like similar examples. Maybe I have a similar question. I will just grab those SQL and then execute this on my SQL warehouse. Else, if it's not the case, then I will generate the SQL, and then I will use, of course, the SQL warehouse to run this query. And that's why you no longer need, again, to run the governance, because the governance is already deployed for you, so which means you have a gain of time. Like compared if you use another tool, then you need to define again the governance, which can be a little bit cumbersome. And we're talking, OK, yeah, that's cool. This is a system that I can use with my tables, ask questions. But what are the prerequisites to get started? Yeah, I mean, it's not that complex. First of all, you need to have Unity catalog. I was supposed to wear this UC t-shirt, but I forgot it this morning. And you need to have a SQL warehouse. I would really recommend to use the serverless one, because it's much faster. I no longer need to wait those 3 minutes to have the compute on to ask your questions, because we all know that we are all impatient when we want to have the answer immediately. And then, of course, you're going to have some permissions, but don't worry, you're going to ask the admin of UC to give those permissions, like just, hey, I know that I can read this table, just to avoid having access to tables that I'm not supposed to have. And of course, we have some guardrails, but I don't think like when you're just getting started, you're going to reach those limits. But it's like maximum of 20 requests per minute. And you can have up to 10,000 conversations, and in those 10,000 conversations, you can have 10,000 messages. So do the multiplications. It's very, very large. And if you want more, you can just ask Ciao.
Xiao's a popular guy. He's not even part of the session. He's just
And what about the best practices? So this is really the part where we would need to focus. It's very iterative, but we will first start by doing what we call the Genie scoping. By the Genie scoping, the first step would be to identify the major themes, which means which questions my room will answer. Will it be like, I don't know, sales question, marketing, finance? This is very, very important because that's how you're gonna define the data you will be using. If you're asking just questions about sales, why add in marketing data? Why add in finance data? So this is very important to have a successful Genie. And then, of course, keep in mind that all those steps I'll be highlighting will be done in iterative development, which means each time you would need to iterate. It's like a baby trying to learn, like step by step, and you will always keep learning. And of course, you would need to involve an expert. Why? Because data analysts are super good, super good when it comes to writing SQL queries, but you need to have a business person in front of you. And this is very, very important, and make sure to add feedback. And we will talk about this a little bit further. And of course, you would need to find two different group of stakeholders. We're gonna have the technical stakeholders, and this is really the person or the group who's gonna own the technical part of writing the SQL queries, and of course, understanding the structure of the data. So typically, those are like data analysts. And then in the other side, we are talking about business stakeholders, so they're gonna be the consumers of your Genie room, and those are the ones that's gonna provide you with some specific information regarding like the question they're gonna ask, but also the KPIs. And I think you should really watch tomorrow's keynotes or after tomorrow. And of course, you would need to have those two stakeholders collaborate together. So this is very important part. So why? Because you need to conduct, of course, initial meetings to, again, do the scoping of which topic you're gonna be addressing, and of course, understanding the terminology, and this will be very important because maybe for you, the KPI, I don't know, would be the revenue multiplied by 12, while for the other team, KPI means something else. And this is, I'm giving you some insights of what to expect from tomorrow. And the next step would be data preparation. As Josue mentioned, this is very, very important. Why? Because when you're asking questions, I don't think in the perfect, you're gonna just have one table. Basically, you need to use many, many tables, and that's where we need to do joining. And this is very important. So basically, you would need to, of course, add primary keys and foreign keys. Don't worry, I have the solution if you don't have primary keys and foreign keys in a few minutes. And of course, you would also need, this is very important, to select the right tables. Avoid adding many tables. It doesn't make sense. Just select, for example, 3 tables and keep adding more tables if you think this is very important for your case. And something very important, make sure to add comments over your tables, because those comments will be very important. Sometimes you can have the title that can be very explicit, which be, I don't know, the department. That's good. But sometimes you can have an awkward name, C_XYZ. Genie won't be able to understand this. So that's why you need to add comments to explain what's the value of this specific column. And then it will help Genie leverage your data. And of course, I did mention the fact that you need to add a lot of interesting things. And what we are announcing, this is something called Knowledge Store, if I'm not wrong, where you're going to have the possibility to add synonyms. So for my case over here, I have the column called Industry. But industry can have synonyms. For my case, I added vertical. So if I am a business user, I'm saying, how many verticals do I have in my book of business? So Genie will know that I'm talking about industry. And also we have something new called sampling. And sampling is also very important. Let me give you an example. Sometimes, for example, I don't know, you want to see all the product that has been sold in California. So the system will understand, yes, I need to filter by state equal to California. But maybe in your data, California is not written entirely, but it's just CA. So that's what you can do. And now it's enabled by default. It will go and scan the column to get the value. And of course, you will see the value of all the values that are inside your columns over there. And this is also one of the things that I really, really like, the fact now that you can hide columns. So in the past, if you had, for example, wanted to have a large tables, and you didn't want to use maybe, I don't know, 20 columns, you would have need like to either create a new table or create a view. Now what you can do, just grab this table and you can hide those columns as you can see. And this is also part of the things that would be announced very, very soon. And the next one of my Genie preparation, benchmark. So the benchmarks are very, very important, and this is really the first thing you need to think about after setting or preparing the data. Why? Because this is where you're going to collect the frequently asked questions. You're going to write SQL queries over it, and then you will, of course, bring your data and just run the benchmark. And basically, what we'll do, like the same questions will be run on your data, and you're going to have like some values with like some results, whether you had like the answers are matching your expectations, or maybe the response need to be reviewed, which means you need to go, and the next step would be to enhance your Genie room. And this is the next step, which is adding instructions. And always keep in mind that I did add the loop on the top, which means all the things I mentioned should be done iteratively. And the next one would be instructions. So within the instructions, this is where we're gonna like give some insight about your business. Maybe when does your fiscal year start? Or maybe just say this is how you can format the data. Or this is like when I'm saying EMEA, because it means I'm talking about Europe. So this is where you can add or define maybe some KPIs if you want, but please avoid to list all the columns because you will just mess up with Genie. Don't overload it with text. This is not a Word, so please be concise. Not a coding
assistant? Not a coding assistant?
Not a coding assistant too. And avoid conflicting instructions. This is very, very important. So one of the things you should do, first of all, make sure to be concise and precise and order well the text you're writing inside instructions, because think about the next person that will be trying to improve Genie. So those are basic stuff, that's very, very important. And of course, make sure to use, as I mentioned, explicit definitions and ensure to pass like all the important context. And keep in mind that this is iterative. You will still ask other questions. You will have maybe something not what you expect. You're going to again, iterate over instructions. So this is, let's say, this is a loop that you will keep working to make sure that your Genie is ready. And also, as a part of the improvement, you can use, once you open Genie maybe to more business users or other developers, you can track the history. So basically, I am a user. I'm going to ask a question. Who is like the top sales products? So the response, the person can either put like thumbs up or thumbs down, and sometimes if he's, I don't know, a little bit curious, he can also ask for a review, say, hey, I'm not sure this is the right result, or just explain this. And the admin will receive a notification saying, you need to check this. And of course, it will create a thread in the SQL. And then, for example, me at the end of the month, I can go and open the history and try to solve those problems. And how you can use the history, think about it as a proactive way to see like how people are interacting with your Genie and maybe update the instructions. And you can also track like the result, like is it something good, like matching the expectation of the users, because like you can think about maybe, I don't know, 100 questions, but I'm pretty sure you will always miss a blind spot, and that's where you would need, of course, to keep iterating. And also make sure to always provide, let's say, this request feedback. If you have some doubts, ask, hey, maybe this is wrong. And then like an analyst will go and try to fix the problem. And also, you can add part of the improvement, something called trusted assets. So what if you know that your CEO or CTO or C-level person is using Genie? You know that this person is always asking the same question, maybe computing a specific value or doing some specific aggregations. What you can do, you can build a SQL function that will be governed by, of course, by Unity catalog, where you will define those KPIs or rules, and you will give like a definition of this function, and also a specific example on when to call this function. And once, for example, a person comes say, hey, what's the value of this specific product in Europe, it will automatically call this function, and you will have the logo trusted assets, so you know you're 100% sure that the response is correct. And of course, once you did this iteratively, it doesn't mean that we did those 4 steps, we're good to go. No, always do a feedback loop within maybe try 2 to 3 weeks to make sure that you have a specific success criteria. Is it 90% accuracy or like 95%? Depend on the success you're gonna put with your stakeholders, because at the end, even if you develop an awesome Genie space, if the user are not benefiting from it, then it will be a waste of your time. So always think with the business users. And of course, once you're ready, you can just move Genie to production. How we can do it? So I know that not all the users will access Databricks for Genie, maybe soon. And you can use REST APIs to integrate Genie with Slack, Teams, and so on. So people can interact with your Genie just like I am a CIO, just open my mobile phone, open Teams, and start asking questions. What was the revenue last month? Which product did I sell well? And I am accessing the latest data with the most fresh data. And this is very important because you will use the entire system, like ingesting data from your sales team, building tables, and you know that everything you're saying is accurate. And this is very, very important. Just keep in mind that when you're implementing Genie to production, to implement a queuing system, because now the REST API does not handle this, and you can face some issues. And of course, each time, make sure to start a new conversation after each session to avoid having conflict between many sessions, and then it can give some bad results. And regarding the most frequent questions, hey, how is the data governed? As I did mention, the data is governed through Unity Catalog, and we have behind scene, of course, something called attribute-based access control, row-level security, and column-level security, which means if, for example, I am the big boss of the company, I can see everything. If I am just an individual contributor, I can, for example, just see 3 columns or 4 rows, so I can benefit from it without duplicating the governance. And who can see my questions? Because I know sometimes we tend to ask awkward questions. It's per user query isolation, which means you can only see your questions, but always keep in mind that the admin will have a look, and this is part of the improvement process with the history, so we can improve and have accuracy in Genie. And I will do a quick demo. Finger crossed. So as you can see, I did call my Genie Josue Youssef, Data and AI Summit. Marketing is happy. And as you can see, I'm just bringing my tables, and this is part of the new UI. You have the primary keys. You can define the value. I can define synonyms, and this is what I did show you. You can get the value and build the value. You can hide columns, as I mentioned, if you want. Of course, you can add instructions, and this is something I forgot to mention. If you didn't define the joins, it's not a big deal. Now you can do it inside with the UI. You can just click on Add. You can define the table, specify whether it's inner join, outer join, and give the table, which means no longer need to alter the tables, but just do it in the Genie space. And of course, this is the monitoring part where you see, for example, if the user is happy or unhappy. And now this is something cool, thanks to Chow's team. We have also follow-ups, but I will show you this. So now I can just what's my average active opportunity size? It will fetch the data, check my different tables, and hopefully it will bring back the result. If it's not the case, trust me, it was working before. So as you can see, Genie is thinking, and it will also explain what's this question? This analysis provide the average size of active opportunities, focusing on the specific stage, and it's also telling you that it will use 2 tables, like opportunity and average active opportunity size, and then the query is being run, and you can see the code behind this specific one. And of course, Demo Gods was not with me today. So we'll start a new chat. For example, I will ask how is my pipeline? It will also try to determine the context. So this is like the chart I showed you first, like a user writing down a question, understanding the context, checking the instructions, seeing if the query already exists, it will bring it back. If the function is there, it will bring it back. If it's not the case, it will try to build a SQL query, send it to SQL warehouse to have the results. So you see, I have the results. It did work finally. And so AMER is like 60,000, APAC, EMEA. And of course, I can show the code. And here, this is where I can say, like, if I'm happy or not happy, for example, yes, like, fix it. And I can, like, say, like, add some snippets, like missing expected column. And then I will submit this. And let's say in the monitoring part, you will find that how is my pipeline bad, like this comment. So I can just click over here and start engaging with this specific person.
First up, I thought that was awesome. Like, he asked me, do you want to do a demo live? I was like, I ain't doing one live. No, anything could go wrong. So quick clap for Joseph here. That was awesome. Very well done. So I told you he had a great stuff planned, so it's so good. A little quick more backstory behind Genie. I got to try it out like 1.5 years ago for the first time, and today it is still one of those features that I believe that Databricks just gets right. It's still improving and whatnot, but I found very few, if any other tools that give that very good experience of reinforcing and learning from you. I think there's a lot of value to that, and that's one of the things that Xiao's team has done that I really appreciate. So, as well as all the work done in dashboards as well. So one of the questions that I think I heard around here was, what about third-party tools? Your Power BIs, you want to go to the next slide, please, if you don't mind. Your Power BIs, your Tableaus, your Sigma. And like I said, I do advise part-time to Sigma. What I'm saying right now, I'm not saying as someone that advises Sigma, but just someone that loves the BI world, okay? So dashboards is great, I would say, in my personal situation, for 50% of the use cases. There are times, though, where, quite bluntly, sometimes you need that complexity, right? I promote simplicity, but sometimes you need complexity. Someone asked me again, when do you use another tool? When you require very complex dashboards. That can be a situation where, right now, a third-party tool could be more beneficial. I would still try first with AI/BI dashboards, see if you can do it well within it. Sometimes there's more complexity that hopefully dashboards will eventually get there. Sometimes you need a very easy to use editing experience. Again, I said do as much upstream as possible, but is that always possible? No. Again, you have that 2 a.m. request. What do? There are tools that do make that data modeling experience inside of the BI tool easier. Sigma is one of them. Power BI's Power Query, I think, is very powerful too. So those are some of the situations where third-party tools can make sense. And here's the other one too. Who here is aware of federation with Unity Catalog? Which federation, in a nutshell, you get access to data from other platforms too. That's the very high level. There are pros and cons when to use it and when not. It's not always an option for a diverse amount of reasons, but it's a great go-to. So if you can do it through federation and build your dashboard inside of Databricks, do it. But perhaps when that is not possible for any reason, using some of these tools that do connect to multiple data platforms, that can be the right solution. So again, there's a few others, but I know we're running out of time. But hopefully that is helpful in understanding when you use one tool over the other. So with that said, let's Which one is this one?
We still have this one.
Oh, yeah, no, I was going to ask for it for the QA if anyone has a question.
That one. Just one thing before. You know that Genie grants wishes, but I have 2 wishes for you today. At the end of the week, you should at least have deployed a Databricks workspace. You can try Databricks Express setup. You're going to have $400 without entering your credit card. This is very important because we all know that we forgot to remove it. And then you deploy a dashboard and test Genie with the bakery dataset. And if you have any questions, just feel free to reach out to us, to Josue, me, or even like any of Chao's team in LinkedIn. Would be more than happy to help you. And now we have a room for 3 minutes questions, and we can take them outside.
Yeah.